Out there in the room. He said, Mr. Branham, I realize I got to stand before God. He said, I don't know whether I sleep or what happened. He said, I dreamed, I'm going to say I was asleep and I dreamed. Said, I thought my son in the market stuck his hand in a sack. And said, when he did, a sack of apples and they all turned over. Said, when I went to pick them up, there's all green apples with one bite taken out of them. Said, I was picking them up, put them back in the sack. Said, some of them rolled out and rolled down. So I went to try to get them and on the grass. And said, they rolled under one of these chain lock fences. And there's a big super highway running there. I looked back east and he said the chain was hooked against a big rock back in the east. And I went back there and thought I'd let this chain down and go over and get the apples for the man. Said I started to let the chain down. Said a voice shook the whole earth. Said the earth shook from under my feet. I said after it quit shaking, I heard a voice and said, Brother Branham, it's your voice. Said I know it just something said that's it. Said it said, I'll ride this trail once more. And said I started looking up the rock like this, looked on into past the clouds, and way up there, standing on a rock that reached from the east to the west in a pointed shape like that, like a pyramid. Run back here to the east, and said there he was standing there on a horse that I'd never seen anything like it in my life. Great white horse, white mane hanging down, and it said he was dressed like an Indian chief with all the things the Indians use. It said he had a breastplate, and bangles on the arms, and all down around like that. It said you had your hands up like that. It said that horse standing there like a military horse with a prance like this, walking. He's standing still. And said you pulled on the reins, went riding off towards the west. Said I looked down there, and there's a whole lot of scientists. And the next morning, that was Saturday, on the next morning I preached on scientists, being of the devil. And it said scientists, as they were pouring things in tubes and mixing it, said you stopped the horse, raised up your hands again and screamed, I'll ride this trail once more. And so the whole earth shook. Then people shook. Said looked up and looked one another like that, looked up to you. They just shrugged their shoulders and went on with their scientific research. And said you started going on towards the west. And when it did, said I seen this man that called himself a prophet, you know it. Said he come up on a horse that was mixed with white and black together. And said he got up behind this great big horse. Said it was way up above the clouds, and the road wasn't over about that wide. And said that horse just starts with the wind blowing, the feathers and everything on your garb. And said then the horse mane and tail blowing, great master, big white horse walking right in line. And said this guy run up behind you, come from towards Canada, and the man lives in Canada. And he said come back. And said he took his little horse trying to knock your big horse off, turn him around, make his hips hit against the... Said never move the big horse. He just kept walking. Said then all of a sudden, said you turned around. Said that'd be the third time you'd spoke, but the second time you said I'll ride. And said you didn't speak like you did. You commanded. Said you turned around and called the man by name and said, get off of here. You know that no man can ride this road here without God be ordained him to do it. Get off of here. And said the man turned around and said the man has wrote me letters and said across his horse's hips, that black and gray and mixed up together, said across his horse's hips was wrote his name signature just exactly like it's on his letter. And he rode off towards the north. Said then you went on down that big